Manchester United reportedly preparing £55 million bid for Everton's Jarrad Branthwaite. Is Bruno Fernandes going to be leaving the club this summer, with Inter Milan and Bayern Munich set to submit bids when the window opens on June the 1st? Plus an update on Jeremy Frimpong, an update on a player that we are trying to steal from Newcastle, a bit of a reaction to Raphael Varane leaving, plus all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 200 likes on today's show, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are going to be live every single day throughout the transfer window, 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. So make sure you subscribe, get involved for all of your latest news, transfer talk, all the good stuff will be live throughout the whole of the summer transfer window. So make sure you get involved. Let's start the show off by talking a little bit about Raphael Varane then, shall we? Because obviously Varane has revealed that he is leaving the club this summer. His contract expires on June the 1st on 340 grand a week. Apparently Man United have been trying to negotiate a new deal with him for the last couple of months on reduced terms. They haven't been able to agree anything. Varane reportedly still wants his 340 grand a week contract, which, let's be honest, is ridiculous. I saw a stat earlier on today, right? And this is going to absolutely blow your mind. So somebody had worked out how much Raphael Varane has earned since he joined Manchester United. And then they've worked out how many games he's been available for. So how many games he's not been injured. And it worked out across the 3 years that he's been here, Manchester United have paid £870,000 per performance. So per match that Varane's played in, it's cost us £870,000. And the same person also worked out that since he's joined, he's missed 50% of Manchester United's Premier League games through injury. I mean, that just pretty much sums it up for me. Is Varane a good player? Yes. Was he at one point one of the best centre-backs in the world? Yes. Does he have the right character, the right mentality, the right attitude on and off the pitch? Yes. But you can't be paying somebody 340k a week to be injured 50% of the time. Like, that's just not sensible. I watched his little tribute video. I watched it like 3 or 4 times, and it did make me a bit sad, being completely honest, because I do like him. I was at the game, I think it was, 3 seasons ago, when the day he was unveiled. We beat Leeds 5-1. It was the first game back at Old Trafford since the COVID pandemic. So it was the first football match that people had been to in, I think, 2 years, because obviously all the games were being played behind closed doors. So I was at that game, and I remember going up on the train, and there was lots of talk behind the match of what's going on with Varane. Is he going to sign? And then Fabrizio Romano reveals, I think about 10 minutes before kickoff, that the deal's done and that he's going to be unveiled to the Old Trafford crowd. And I'm telling you now, that was the best atmosphere I've ever seen at Old Trafford in my life. Beating Leeds, who were one of our fiercest rivals, 5-1 in the first Premier League game in like 2 years because of COVID, with fans in the stadium. And honestly, it was like such a special match, and it was a day that I'll never forget in my memories. So yeah, I am happy that we had the opportunity to see Varane here, but it is the right time to move him on. So thank you very much for your service, Varane, but this is definitely the right time. Oh, sorry about that. Keeping on the topics of outgoings, let's talk a little bit about Bruno Fernandes. So this story broke earlier on today. There's 3 or 4 different journalists here in the UK reporting this story. And the headline is that apparently Bayern Munich and Inter Milan are understood to be interested in signing Bruno Fernandes this summer. I'll say this from the off, right? I like Bruno Fernandes. I think he's probably one of our best players. His stats don't lie. He creates, he scores. But if I'm Bruno Fernandes, I'm leaving Manchester United. He's 29, okay? I think he's 30 this year even. He might even be 30 quite soon. Let me just double check. I know he's 29. Yeah, he's 30 in like 2 months. So he'll be 30 in a couple of months. We spoke about this on the show this morning. He's won hardly anything in his career. I think he's won the Portuguese League twice. He's obviously won the League Cup with Man United, and I think he might have won the Portuguese League Cup, and that's it. So he's nearly 30. He's considered one of the best attacking midfielders in the world, I would say, in the top 20. I think that's fair. And he's only won 4 trophies. And let's be honest, none of them are major trophies, really. He's not won a Champions League. He's not won a Premier League. He's not won a World Cup. And I feel a little bit sorry for him, to be honest, because, if he was in a team like Bayern Munich or a team like Inter Milan, people would be saying, oh, he's the best in the world. I'm sure of it. They would be. But He's playing in a struggling Man United side who've had, I think, 3 managers. We had Ollie, we had Ragnick, and now we've got Ten Hag. He's had 3 managers in the 4 years he's been here. And I feel a little bit sorry for him. I know he's getting paid loads of money and all the rest of it, but yeah, I feel a little bit bad for him. And if I'm Bruno Fernandes, I would leave Man United. We're toxic. Some of the fans don't like him. Some of the fans want him gone. I just think that by the time we're at a level where we're going to compete, he's going to be too old. It's going to take us 2 or 3 years minimum to be anywhere near competing for like first or second. And that's minimum. It might take even longer. He's going to be 33 by then. So if I'm Bruno Fernandes, obviously I want him to stay at the club. He strengthens our team. But if I'm Bruno, I'm leaving 100%. Like, he's not a Man United fan. It's not like he's from the local area and his family all live around the corner from the stadium. He's not from, he's Portuguese, isn't he? And he obviously has, he has that mentality where you can see he wants to win things. And does he really look at Manchester United and think, oh, next season we're going to be competing for the top trophies? Now, some might argue we're competing for the FA Cup this season. We competed for the FA Cup last season. We won the League Cup. So technically we are competing for trophies, even though we're absolutely terrible. We are competing for trophies at the moment, I guess. But is that enough for him? And does he look at this team and genuinely think like, oh, we're going to go and win the Premier League or we're going to go and win the FA Cup? Like, I don't think he does personally. And if he does, he's a little bit naive personally, but that's just my opinion. David Ornstein has said that apparently Man United have met with Bruno Fernandes last week and have made it clear that they want him to stay at Manchester United next season. I mean, that's all good and well. Of course they're going to say that. Why would they get rid of him? He's our best player, probably. I think without him, we look pretty incapable of scoring. He's been injured for 2 or 3 games, hasn't he now? In those 2 or 3 games, we failed to score against Arsenal. We failed to score against Crystal Palace. And I think we failed to score against somebody else as well, didn't we? My brain seems to just erase all the memories of the recent games. Let's have a look. So yeah, the 2 games we've not had Bruno, we failed to score against Palace and we failed to score against Arsenal. And that's not a coincidence. He is our most creative asset in the team. But what I want you guys to let me know is, do you think Bruno Fernandes should be sold this summer? Yeah. Do you think he should be sold? And do you think he will be sold? It's a double-ended question. Because it's all good and well us sitting here saying, I'll get rid of Bruno, but I would keep him 100%. Unless like a crazy, crazy offer came in. I don't think Bayern Munich are going to offer crazy money. Bayern Munich aren't going to offer you 100 million for Bruno. They'd probably offer like 50 million maybe. Richard says, I would miss Bruno. He has been one of the brightest sparks in a dying fire. He says, however, if he choose to leave, I would wish him well. I agree with you, mate. I would be sad if Bruno Fernandes left, but I would massively respect his decision if he did choose to leave, because I think he deserves to win trophies. He's not like he's a Varane or a Casemiro who's already won everything and is coming to Manchester United for a payday. He's come to Manchester United to win things, and he's got 1 League Cup in 4 years to kind of to kind of show for it, which is it's not great, is it really? A League Cup in 4 years, a trophy that some fans don't even really take very seriously. I do. A trophy's a trophy, but some people are like, oh, the Carabao Cup, it's embarrassing. I don't particularly agree with that. I think it's complete crap. But right. Moving on from Bruno Fernandes, though, let's talk a little about Jarrad Branthwaite, the Everton centre-back, English, very, very good player. The headline this evening is that apparently Manchester United are preparing a £55 million bid for Jarrad Branthwaite. Obviously, Everton are in a real dire situation financially. They were supposed to be being taken over by, I think it's the 7-7 group, something like that. They were supposed to be being taken over anyway. It seems like their takeover's fallen through and they're in an absolute mess. They really need to sell some players. And even Sean Dyche, their manager, came out a couple of days ago saying that this summer they will have to sell some players because they need to raise funds and they're in big trouble financially. So the question I have for you guys is, would you sign Jarrad Branthwaite for 55 million? If you're watching the video live, then you can get involved in the poll. If you're watching this back on repeat, get in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Jarrad Branthwaite to Manchester United, 55 million, yes or no? Give me your reasons. Give me a little bit of context. And everyone who's just joined the video, by the way, please smash a like and subscribe. We're very, very close to, I think it's 31,000. Sorry, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. 31,000, that would be lovely. I think we're very close to 21,700. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go and subscribe now. Doesn't cost you any money, and it really helps the channel. Make sure you like the video as well. But yeah, Jarrad Branthwaite, for me, I think he'd be a quality signing, 21 years of age. He's shown that he's good enough, I think, to take the jump from kind of Everton to Man United. I think he's someone that could be our starting centre-back for probably the next 10 years. He's only 21 years of age. And I would definitely go and sign him for 55 million. I think we need 2 centre-backs. I'm going to talk about the other centre-back in a minute. So yeah, we go for Jarrad Branthwaite for 55 million. Obviously, Varane's left or is leaving. That's going to save us about £20 million a year in wages. So that's really, really good. In relation to the second centre-back, there is a massive bit of breaking news that I wanted to bring you guys this evening. This is coming out from Sky Sports and multiple other journalists. And that is surrounding the Fulham centre-back Tosin. And apparently Man United are trying to hijack the deal from Fulham. So his contract expires, I think, in a couple of weeks. Newcastle are apparently trying to sign him. But apparently Man United have just come in and tried to hijack the deal. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with this guy. He looks decent. He's in his mid-20s. He's had a good season for Fulham. For free, I would go and sign him. I think if we could sign Jarrad Branthwaite and toss in for Jarrad Branthwaite for 55 million, toss in for free, and then you get rid of Varane, you get rid of Lindelof, you let Johnny Evans' contract expire. I think that would be a massive improvement, going from Varane, who can only play 50% of the games, Johnny Evans, who's done a job but is obviously past his best, and Lindelof, who I think was never good enough. So 3 players with question marks over, and you go and replace them with Jarrad Branthwaite, who could be your centre-back for the next 10 years, plus a Premier League experience centre-back in Tosin, who's done well for Fulham. So I think that would be really, really good business. Obviously, their wages would be considerably less than a Johnny Evans, Varane, and a Lindelof as well. So it's a win-win all round. I know some people want Jean-Claire Todibo. I don't think we'll get Todibo and Branthwaite. I think it will either be Todibo or Branthwaite. But yeah, for me personally, I was only really put off Branthwaite because I was hearing people saying they wanted 100 million, and I think that's stupid money. There is no way that Branthwaite's worth 100 million, whereas I think 55 million is probably about fair. If you compare that with other top centre-backs who've moved from Premier League clubs in kind of recent-ish years, a really, really good example of this is John Stones. John Stones moved from Everton to Man City in 2016, so a very long time ago, 8 years ago, and they paid 50 million for him. So I think if we could get Branthwaite for around that type of money, I think it would be a fair deal for everyone, to be honest. I think, anything more than that, I think would be a little bit questionable. I think John Stones was exactly the same age as Branthwaite is when he left Everton. So yeah, I think around the 50 million pounds mark, and we then just have to hope that Jarrad Branthwaite turns into the player that we're kind of all expecting him to be. He might not. He might come and struggle, and we might, in a couple of years, need a new centre-back, but we'll have to wait and see. Maxwell says, what do you reckon Branthwaite's wages would be? That's a really good question. Let me have a little think about that quickly. So at the moment, Branthwaite at Everton is only being paid 35 grand a week. Now, you're probably sat at home thinking, only 35 grand a week? That's probably what most people earn in a year. But it's still nothing for a footballer. Raphael Varane at Manchester United is earning 350,000 a week. He's earning 10 times the amount of what Jarrad Branthwaite is. So even if Branthwaite joins, right, and we said, you know what, we really appreciate you, we're gonna double your contract. We'll give you 70,000 a week. That's still like a fifth of what Varane's earning at Man United. So you can see how Manchester United can make these deals work this summer. They go from paying £20 million a year to Raphael Varane to paying maybe 4 million a year to Jarrad Branthwaite. Do you see how we're working this all out? And obviously we've got to be really, really careful with the kind of new rules about financial fair play and stuff. So the key thing for Man United this summer is to get rid of the higher earners and bring in younger players with lesser wages and more players who can kind of grow and build over the years, opposed to like players in their late 20s, early 30s who want one big payday before they kind of retire. You're thinking Casemiro, you're thinking Varane, etc., etc. But let me know in the comment section, guys. Are you impressed so far with Ineos and what they're doing? I personally am. I think they're going in the right direction. I know it's early days. I know effectively, like, it's not like we've won anything yet, but I do think they're going in the right direction. And I feel, actually, I was saying this to a friend the other day, I feel quietly positive for the future. I feel like good times are coming. I feel like Ineos are showing me some signs that they are going to change things at the club. It might take years. I'm not saying that we're going to win the Premier League next season, you know? It might take 2 or 3 years for Ineos to really get us in a position to compete. But I do feel like they are the right people to do it. I think all of their changes with, like, getting rid of John Murta, getting rid of Richard Arnold, getting rid of Darren Fletcher, I think those are all really, really good. You know, to bring in Jason Wilcox as the technical director, to have Omar Barada as the CEO instead of John Murta, to have Dan Ashworth to come in as the sporting director instead of Richard Arnold. Like, you can't complain about anything they've done so far. I think it's been very, very good. And I think the same with Varane. If this was the Glazers, they would just say, oh, let's just keep Varane. It means we don't have to sign another centre-back. And they'd give him whatever money he wanted. And he'd probably be injured for half of the season. And then the results would be bad. And then people would turn on the manager. But Ineos seem to actually be pointing in the right direction and getting rid of the right people at the right time. So that's really, really good. I'm really happy about that. But let me know. Maybe give me a rating out of 10. How excited? Let's do a poll, actually. Whilst I'm setting up the poll, please smash a like on the video, guys. Subscribe as well. Doesn't cost you any money. Let's try and see 200 likes on today's video. Let's see this. How hopeful are you for the future with Ineos? Very hopeful. Hopeful. What else? So we've got very hopeful, feeling okay, worried. Anybody watching this back on repeat, you can get involved in the comment section. So the question is this: how hopeful are you for the future with Ineos? And you have 4 options. Obviously, you can write whatever you want, but the 4 options I've given for the poll are very hopeful. That's me. I'm feeling hopeful, feeling positive. I'm feeling excited. All of the right signs are pointing me towards very hopeful. Or you could say hopeful, I've put feeling okay, or you're worried. Let me know. And give me your reasons as well, because I like to have a bit of context in your decisions. Connor says, would you sign Wirtz from Bayern Leverkusen if Bruno Fernandes is sold? I would love to have Wirtz at Man United, but from what I'm hearing, apparently the likelihood is in 2025, Florian Wirtz will leave Bayern Leverkusen and go to Real Madrid, and so will Alonso. That's what I'm hearing today. So I don't think Wirtz will come to Man United. I don't gamble, but if I was a gambler, I would put money on 2025, Wirtz and Alonso moving to Real Madrid. That's what I think is going to happen. But in short, yes, I would like to see him at the club if we could bring him in. I just don't think it will happen, and that's my opinion anyway. Right, let's move on to. There's so much news coming in today, guys. So it's going to be. Yeah, it's getting exciting again, isn't it? And the next story I've got for you is about Jeremy Frimpong, a player I really like, somebody I think would be a quality signing. The headline this evening coming out from Sport Bild over in Germany is that apparently Jeremy Frimpong is leaning towards leaving Bayern Leverkusen this summer. It says the Dutchman has a 40 million euros release clause that must be activated before the Euros. Man United are obviously one of the clubs interested in signing him. I think that as soon as that transfer window opens, you've got to go and sign Jeremy Frimpong. You've got to go and sign a centre-back, Jarrad Branthwaite, as a minimum, as soon as the window opens. Because we can't afford to be sat around and lose our first and second choice targets like we always do. We've got to be aggressive in the market. We've got to go out there and we've got to get people in. So if we could get Frimpong and Branthwaite, our defence goes from average to exciting overnight. You've then got a defence of left back Luke Shaw, you've got Martinez and Brathwaite as your 2 centre backs, and then you've got Frimpong as your right back, and then you've also got obviously Malacia, Dalot as your kind of backups. I think Wan-Bissaka's going to go. Just a quick one. Big ups to Fred, absolute legend. He's just gifted 5 memberships to the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you very much for your ongoing support, my friend. I really, really do appreciate it. If you do want to join the Members Club, Obviously, all support is appreciated. If you have just been gifted a membership by Fred, make sure you say thank you in the chat. And if you haven't, then I think you can join the members club by hitting the $. It's only, I think, £1 to do it. If you are in a position, then please do it. If you're not, then maybe like the video. It doesn't cost you any money and really helps to show this channel to more people, which just creates more conversation. And yeah, it means we can do better and bigger things in the future. So yeah, if you're not in a position to join the members club, please smash a like. It's free and it helps me out more than you can imagine. So yeah, big ups to all of you. Let's see what else we've got planned for the rest of the show. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Benjamin Sesko. Let me just have a sip of my drink quickly. Right, Benjamin Sesko. Obviously, we all know that Benjamin Sesko's agent was at Old Trafford on Sunday for the Arsenal game. And the headline this evening, this is coming out from Christian Falk, is that Manchester United remain interested in signing Benjamin Sesko. He has a release clause this summer, which is worth around 50 million. He says if that release clause is not triggered this summer, so i.e. if a club don't buy him, it will then be raised to 75 million euros. So effectively, Man United can get Benjamin Sesko this summer for around 43 million pounds, which I think is an absolute bargain. He's been unbelievable this season for Leipzig. If they don't sign him this summer and then they want to go and sign him next year, his release clause will be 65 million pounds. So it's an absolute no-brainer for me. Like, you can already piece this together. Man United should be going for Brathwaite, 55 million. Okay, you ready for this? This is what I would do if I'm Ineos, and you can agree or disagree with me in the comment section. So I'm going for Brathwaite, 55 million. Okay. I need like a little whiteboard, don't I? So I can write this all down. Brathwaite, 55 million. I'm then going to go and get Frimpong from Bayern Leverkusen. Obviously, he's got a release clause, which means that effectively you don't have to negotiate with Bayern Leverkusen. You can just go there. You can trigger his release clause, which is 40 million pounds, which is about 40 million euros, 34 million pounds. And then I'm going to get Sesko from Leipzig. I'm saying, hello, we'll have you. He is going to cost you 43 million pounds. So 3 players that we should be signing the day the transfer window opens. Brathwaite, 55 million, Frimpong, 34 million, and Benjamin Sesko, 43 million. And then you go and get Tosin from Fulham. His contract expires. He's a free agent, 26 years of age, with Premier League experience. Newcastle want him, AC Milan want him, and Man United want him. That's 4 players. 4 signings that should be easy to do, I think, because 2 of them have release clauses, 1 of them's a free agent, and Everton are desperate to sell players. So we don't even really have to mess around with any of them. We can just go in and say, here's the money for your release clause, come and sign for Man United. Those 4 players would cost Manchester United a combined fee of £132 million, which is about what our transfer budget is for this summer. But obviously, our transfer budget will then be increased based on player sales. We're expecting loads of players to leave. So those 4 players should be an absolute minimum. And then as soon as we know that Casemiro's gone, as soon as we know that Donny's gone, Hannibal's gone, a couple of those other midfield signings, we then go and sign a couple of midfielders. And I think that would be a really solid window. So that's what I would do personally. But you can always let me know in the comment section. What do you think of that? I'm going to drop it in the comments for you guys here. Let's do this. Kieran's Summer. I'm going to call it Kieran's Summer. How does that sound? You guys can let me know what you think. So let me just get that in there. 43 million. Okay. Kieran's Summer is now... the format's gone all funny. But yeah, those are the players that we should be looking at, in my opinion. If you disagree, that's obviously completely fine. Connor says, if Bruno Fernandes leaves, who do we get if we can't get Wirtz? I think we already have our replacement, my friend. Mason Mount, £50 million, or might even more, £60 million. He sat on the bench. Mason Mount is a centre attacking midfielder. Why did we sign Mason Mount to sit on the bench? Maybe he was always going to be the plan to be Bruno Fernandes' replacement. Maybe. Jack says we should loan Xavi Simons with an option to buy. Yeah, Xavi Simons would be a quality signing. I would really, really like to see him at Manchester United, but I don't know. I mean, if Erik ten Hag is still the manager next season, maybe Xavi Simons would come to Manchester United. You know, he's going to be a starting player, wouldn't he? Obviously, if Bruno Fernandes left, he'd be a starting player. That's kind of the condition there. But right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I've gone on a little bit longer than I do usually. I hope you have all enjoyed today's show. Please, before you go, smash a like. Let's try and see 200 likes. Subscribe as well. I think we're only 10 subscribers now away from 21,700. So go and do that on your way out. I will be back live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Once the video's gone live, make sure you get in the comment section and kind of get all your thoughts in. And I'll speak to you all at 6 p.m. tomorrow and also 11 a.m. Have a great day, everybody. Speak to you later. Bye-bye.